As for the sunnah inside Salah, the first sunnah we will cover is the raising of hands, رفع يدين, in takbir of tahrima, takbiratul tahrima. When you start your Salah, your first takbir, that takbir is unanimously agreed to be a rukun, a fard. But the raising of hand within that takbir is sunnah. So saying of Allahu Akbar is fard and the raising of hand is sunnah. As far as the four madahib, the famous madahib of Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Shafi, Imam Malik, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, rahmatullah alayhim, as far as they are concerned, they all agree that it is what you would categorize as sunnah or mustahab. Okay? But even though there is no dispute that it is a sunnah and not a fard, there were some of the Salaf, very few of them, which saw it as a part of a rukun or wajib. Okay? But that view in general is not accepted. So we can say, it's unanimously agreed as sunnah, even though there may be very few people in Salaf who might have said differently, but that wasn't accepted as a famous view ever. So when raising hands, there are a few issues which come under which we need to discuss about raising hands. First of all is how much do you raise your hands? In a hadith you'll find two views and both equally accepted. One is to raise up to your shoulders, and second is to raise up to your ears. Okay? Now, when I say raising your hands to your shoulders, I mean the top of the hand, that is raising up to shoulders, or raising up to ears. Malikis and Shafi'is, they prefer the view of raising up to shoulder over the view of raising up to the ears. But I don't think anyone has a problem. It's not one of those things that you would argue about. There is proof for both. But their preference, Malikis and Shafi'is, is to raise up to shoulders. Hanabila, the Hanbali madhab, they are very flexible as well. You can say you find both views in the madhab, raising up to ears or raising up to shoulders, or like they say, you raise it so your fingers are by your ears and the bottom half of your hand or palm, this is by your shoulders, right? And Hanafis are exactly same in that. It's like Hanabila. Now, Hanafis have a slight variation in how the women should raise their hand and how the men should raise their hand. They say men should raise up to the ears and women should do up to shoulders, because this is more modest and covering for her not to raise her hand all the way up. In general, other madhahib don't like to differentiate between the salah of men and women. Nevertheless, they do have some issues where they do differ slightly. But Ahnaf have more variation between men and women, and mostly to do with the modesty. Yeah. If they prefer a view for a man, if there is another view which may be more modest in the way you sit and you raise your hand and so on, where you keep your hand and how you stand in salah and ruku and sujood and sitting, they would always prefer what seems to be more modest for women, and not necessarily same for the men. Let's cover some of the hadith which the madhahib have used. First hadith is the hadith found in Sahih Muslim, the hadith of Wa'il bin Hujr radiyallahu anhu. He said he saw Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam raising his hands hayala udhunayhi, opposite his ears. The next hadith is, these hadith are very easily found. You don't need to really worry about. And these are one of those masails you don't find much ever dispute in it. Okay, it's more to do with preferences. The next hadith is the hadith of Malik bin al-Huwayrith radiyallahu anhu. He said, أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا كبر رفع يديه حتى يحاذي بهما أذنيه. He said that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, when he did takbir of ihram, when he started his salah, he raised his hands until they were opposite or by his ears. Yeah. This hadith is also found in Sahih Muslim. Let's maybe do 2-3 more hadith. Hadith of Al-Bara bin Azib. كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا صلى رفع يديه حتى تكون إبهامه حذاء أذنيه. Okay. Ahmad, Rawahu Ahmad, and others, Daraqutni and Tahawi and other people have narrated it, that when Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam would raise his hands, he would, when he prayed, he would raise his hands, his thumbs opposite his ears or by his ears. Finally, this is a muttafaqun alayh hadith from Ibn Umar radiyallahu anhu. كان يرفع يديه حذو منكبيه إذا افتتح الصلاة, that he would raise his hands up to his shoulders when he starts his salah. And also similar hadith from Abu Hurairah, and there are many narrations for that. So that's why all views are between ears and shoulders around that area. Okay, some may prefer just shoulder, some may prefer ears, some may prefer for men up to ears and women up to shoulder. So there is no doubt of it being sunnah to raise your hands when you start your salah. But the discussion is usually on how much to raise them. Okay? Good. Done with this point.